Hi everyone. I wanted to do a brief invitation and recognition of International Day of Peace. So to get the promotion out of the way, today in Ojai, California, from 12 to 2 p.m. at Libby Park, I'll be hosting a Drums for Peace community event to celebrate International Day of Peace. Again, that's today, Tuesday, September 21st, from 12 to 2 p.m. at Libby Park. International Day of Peace, I want to give some background. It was established in 1981 by the United Nations, and it's celebrated every September 21st since 1981. And the day calls for a 24-hour period of nonviolence. Well, of course, like many holidays of this kind, we want Peace Day to be every day, and certainly there's a recognition that peace begins within. Our peaceful thoughts and actions and ruminations towards ourselves, and then extending out into the world. So that's a daily mindfulness practice, but it's also good to have very specific milestones, and International Day of Peace is one of those. There are several other parallel peace projects throughout the world that have been going on for quite a long time. One of them is the Peace Project. You might have seen them. There's thousands of them all over the world, and they say, "May peace prevail on earth," often in several languages, sometimes as many as 8, 2 for each of the 4 sides. The Peace Project was started in Japan by Masahisa Goi, who dedicated his life to spreading the message. In 1955, he was in meditation, and the message of "May peace prevail on earth" came to him. And he was greatly affected by the destruction caused by World War II, and specifically the atomic bombs which fell on the city of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And he dedicated his life to peace. So may peace prevail on earth, and the peace polls, which state that, started spreading throughout the world. In 1986, the first International World Peace Flag Ceremony and Peace Project was introduced in the United States, in the city of Los Angeles. So it was the first time outside of Japan that the Peace Flag ceremony took place. Over this last weekend here in Ojai at Meditation Mount, the director of the International Peace Project, Fumi John Stewart, came to Meditation Mount, dedicated a new peace pole there that was burned in the Thomas fire several years ago. And we did the flag ceremony. We didn't use actual flags. She brought laminated color prints of each country. There were 195 countries. For each country, we spoke the country's name, and for instance, may peace prevail in Uzbekistan, and may peace prevail in Nigeria. So there were maybe, I don't know, 30 or 40 of us there, and we walked around in a circle and were given the flag, and we held it up, and we said those words for each country. And then it was laid down in a mandala pattern around the peaceful pole. It was quite beautiful. I actually attended the very first peace flag ceremony at the Scottish Rites Church in Los Angeles in 1986. So I have a long history with this, and a long history with the peace movement. Certainly as a human being, times aren't always peaceful. But if we have something to come back to, some kind of practice, some kind of meditation, some kind of gratefulness, something that can bring us back to that place of peace. And the peace flag ceremony is one of those things that starts from within and radiates out globally. So it's quite a beautiful thing that's been happening, and we were very much honored to have Fumi John Stewart with us at Meditation Mount, Michael Linfield, who is the director of Meditation Mount, and Mandy Khan, who's a peace educator and poet. It was a beautiful event. In Ojai here, in 2014, Ojai declared itself the 99th International City of Peace, which is another parallel organization. Fred Arment created the International Cities of Peace, and they define peace as the consensus, I'm reading here, define peace as the consensus values of safety, prosperity, and quality of life for all in the community. That's how they define peace. The consensus values of safety, prosperity, and quality of life for all in the community. Brian Berman and Julie Heyman in 2014, they had a vision of Ojai becoming the 99th International City of Peace. And then in 2015, Mayor Johnny Johnson and the City Council of Ojai presented a city proclamation declaring Ojai as an International City of Peace. So when you drive into the city now, from our east, north, and southern entrances, you actually see a sign declaring that. It's a symbolic gesture, but it also calls us forward to what does peace in our community look like? What areas in our community need some focus and attention in a very proactive way, whether it be our personal relationships with someone, with our business owners, with any divisiveness that has happened during the pandemic, during the election. How do we come together in peace? What relationships do we have in our lives that need tending, need communication that's nonviolent, that's compassionate, to refer to Marshall Rosenberg's work? So today, from 12 to 2 p.m. At Libby Park, around the fountain, in Ojai, I'll be hosting a Drums for Peace. And the community will be getting together. Last time we had, close to 30 drummers there. If you don't have a hand drum, and you want to simply listen, or you're a dancer and want to dance, we'll be there, acknowledging the International Day of Peace. Now, I would be remiss not to presence the first people of this area, the Chumash, and the ancestors that are here, and the current elders and Chumash community that still live here. And we're here cohabitating and supporting their culture, their connection with the earth, and acknowledging the prayers that and ceremonies that often go unnoticed as they hold this Ojai Valley, this beautiful, pristine place, in the highest reverence. You know, much of humanity's challenges, I feel, are due to our disconnection with the earth, with the planet, with nature. Seems like when, as the modern industrial age came into being, we became even more exploitive of, I don't know if that's a word, became more exploitive of the resources on the planet. So in that, monetization of the earth, it caused a separation in some ways, or a devaluing. And as we separated more and more from nature, we also forgot about our own nature. In nature, everything works, right? I had a friend once who was living in his van for a while. If you're listening, you know who you are, and I thank you for this story. But I remember he was sleeping in his van one time and woke up, and there was an owl out on the branch. And he was having some challenges in his life. Excuse me. And he saw this owl. And it dawned on him that in nature, everything works. And he was part of nature. So if everything in nature works, then his life was working as well. There's this symbiotic relationship that all of nature has in the birth, death, rebirth cycle that we also have in our lives. Some of them are larger arcs and cycles, some of them are shorter. So I encourage all of you in every smallest way to remember how much nature and the earth provides for us. And to me, that is so much what International Day of Peace is about. It's not just peace about each other, with each other, or peace between nations. Hi, Elaine, I see that you're watching. And it's also, what is our relationship to the earth? What is our relationship to ourselves? How can we be more peaceful with ourselves, whether it be our inner critic, our inner judge, taking care of our bodies, taking care of our thoughts? What is it we need, and how are we going to give it to ourselves? That's been my mantra this year. I was working with someone closely, and he posed that question to me. He said, Ray, what is it you need, and how are you going to give it to yourself? I think about that daily since then. So peace does begin with us, and then our household, and then our neighborhood, and then our community, and then our state and our nation. And I was thinking about this today. I get a lot of ideas in the shower. And I was thinking about this idea of borders. That, you know, borders are man-made. National borders and state borders are really constructs of commerce in a lot of ways, and created territorialism. So this idea of one planet, one people, one earth, isn't just like some flippant new age concept. If we really think about it, and especially now with climate change and concerns and the pandemic, and concerns that affect everybody on the planet, it does truly shrink the world. So I have a saying, it's from a song lyric I wrote long ago that says, giving more than we take and taking just what we need. Giving more than we take, taking just what we need. What does that look like if we were to really practice that? take a minute and think about that. Where in your life can you be giving more than you take? Or another way to say that is, where do we need balance? What is it you need, and how are you going to give it to yourself? Like in a very real way. And sometimes an awful simple, small way. Buckminster Fuller used to talk about trim tab, yeah? The smallest little action can create a huge transformation or a huge shift. One of the things I'm talking about here locally is creating a ban like San Francisco did on single-use plastics. That's a trim tab. Encourage and help transition businesses from using single-use straws and plastic forks and to-go containers and cups, et cetera, et cetera. That's a small trim tab, but it will have a huge effect for generations to come. I think I'm 62 years old. I think about the youth that are inheriting the earth. I've done my best to live lightly on it and mentor younger people. But they're inheriting a lot of the industrial and post-industrial lifestyles and wastes and values or lack of values from the generations before. They have a big cleanup job to do. If we are going to have a peaceful and equanimous environment and social environment and natural environment to live in. Let me take a breath here. I'm very, very grateful to be living in the Ojai Valley. I lived here 22 years ago. I moved here. I grew up in the Los Angeles area, in the San Fernando Valley. And every year since 1986, if not before, I think about, on International Day of Peace, I think about my history a little bit and how I learned about peacefulness or calmness or thinking about others as much as I might about myself. I grew up in my generation. I grew up during the Vietnam War. If you think about the Vietnam War was the last war to be televised. The governments and news networks learned they better not, televise a war because there might be protests and people may not agree with what's going on. But in 1968, I was 10 years old. So from 68 to, the early 70s, I saw photographs of the Vietnam War in Life magazine and watched it on the news, live and pre-filmed footage. And I had a couple neighbors who didn't make it back, that were drafted and didn't make it back. And that had a huge impact on me. Also, the Beatles were singing about love and about peace. So it really imprinted me as a young 10 and 12-year-old through the music, through the media, the need for peace. As well, my father was a warrior, not in this country, but he kind of grew up with a gun in his hand, and he had the challenges that a boy soldier might have after the fact. So contemplating about peace has been something that's been with me for a very long time, and I feel very fortunate that I went to summer camp as a young man, and at 12 years old I had a camp counselor that taught us how to meditate, and I've been meditating ever since. So, you know, I have 50 years of meditation under my belt. That doesn't mean I'm like all pieced out all the time. Those that know me know I can lose my temper and be fierce sometimes. But overall, I have a perspective to observe and witness myself and the world, and you know, do my best to, some of you know this phrase, discern what's happening from what I'm making it mean, or what's happening from my interpretation of what's making it mean. And that can decrease the triggers, right? That can decrease the emotional reaction and help us respond in a way that might have some more emotional intelligence. Again, you know, I'm human, we're all human, we fall from grace, and it doesn't always, you know, sometimes we behave in a way that isn't all that peaceful. And then, you know, we need to learn to forgive ourselves and others. So I'm here on this International Day of Peace, which started in 1981. It's been going for a long time. And all over the world at this very moment, in different cities, in different states, different countries, people are celebrating the International Day of Peace. So I want to ask you to take a moment to think about what does peace mean for you? You know, in and of itself, life doesn't have any meaning. You know, a tree is a tree. It's not a beautiful tree till we call it a beautiful tree and give it some meaning. We're meaning-making machines, you know. So I'm asking you at this moment to, if you were to ascribe meaning to what does peace mean to you, or what does peace look like to you, or where in your life could you apply whatever peace is for you in such a way that there's some result in what peace looks like. So let's just take a second to think about that. What does peace mean to you? Is there a relationship that needs some healing that you can focus on? Something you can give yourself? Or maybe just a prayer that, or thought form that you send out to the world. What does peace mean to you? What does it look like? And see if there's a proactive way you can act on that. The smallest thing, you know, those little things all add up. You know, some people have a function on the planet that they think and act and do really big, and others, our function is the little daily acts. Those, what's the, you know, that stereotypical term at this point, random acts of kindness, right? So I just want to mention, you know, for those who are maybe just joining, again, that I'll be hosting a Drums for Peace at Libby Park here in Ojai from 12 to noon today, to celebrate International Day of Peace, to celebrate each other, to send a sonic, rhythmic force, frequency into the world, to connect with everyone else that's celebrating the International Day of Peace. And just think about what you yourself might contribute to that collective energetic today around the International Day of Peace. If you're at work, what It might be just taking a moment and taking one breath, as simple as taking one deep breath and feeling some calm and letting it radiate out to your coworkers if you're at work, or to your family if you're with your family. Yeah, I'm feeling that's all I have to say, and I'll close out as I began with some flute music. And I just want to thank all of you for listening, and want to thank all of you for what you do each and every day to promote and to live peace, and encourage you to take care of yourself and help take care of others, and give more than you take, and take just what you need. Yeah, just sending lots and lots of love to all of you. Celebrating peace within and without on this International Day of Peace, 2021. The theme this year, recovering better for an equitable and sustainable world. Recovering better for an equitable and sustainable world. Bye for now.